Today is our third and final week of talking about voting related resources. I want to make sure that you have all the information that you need to make informed choices during the upcoming election, whether you're voting by mail, doing early voting, or if you're voting the day of, which is November 4th. So today I wanted to talk about a tool that you can use to preview your ballot. It's really upsetting to me when I go to vote and then I see something on the ballot that I didn't know was there and I didn't get to do my research ahead of time. So I want to show you this tool. You can use it for primaries. It's a good way to just plan ahead and make sure you have the information you need to make an informed choice when you go to vote. The website that we're talking about today is called Ballot Ready. It is a nonpartisan free website that is dedicated to just making sure that you have factual information about the candidates and issues in upcoming elections, no matter what election it is, if it's a primary, a general election like the one that's coming up. They're just committed to making sure that they get you accurate information. Today, what we're going to look at is Ballot Ready's tool that's called Research Your Ballot, which gives you the opportunity to look up more about candidates and these ballot proposals as well, to preview everything that's going to be on your ballot. And then you can print or email your filled out sample ballot to yourself so that you can take it with you when you go to vote. So we'll talk about that as we go. Just a reminder too, this is just a sample that you're taking when you actually vote. We don't have online voting. This is just you setting up a ballot for yourself so you can take it and use it when you go to vote, and you won't forget who you plan to vote for and what you plan to vote for with those ballot proposals as well. So to get started, we're going to practice opening up our internet application, Safari, Google Chrome, internet, whatever you use to access the internet. So take a moment to find that and open it. And once you do, you're going to open it and type ballotready.org in the address bar. You don't need to do www or any of that. It's ballotready.org. And you should see a page that should look like this. So where to go before you vote, and the Ballot Ready logo up in the top left-hand corner. So what you're going to do, this is so you can see the ballot that's appropriate to your location. So as we know, you can be in different congressional districts, different city council districts. So the ballot that you preview is going to be the one that you will actually have as a resident whose address is what you enter here. So you want to make sure the address you enter is the one that you use when you registered to vote, because that's going to determine like your polling place, all of that, and also what's on your ballot. So you're going to go ahead and enter your address. I'm going to use the building's address just as an example. And then underneath this, it's going to ask you to put your email address in. That's so that you can get updates and stuff from them. You can do that or not, depending on what you want. Even if you don't do that now, you can still email your sample filled out ballot to yourself later on. So you can skip the step, or if you want to get like election reminders and things like that, you can go ahead and put your email address here, but you don't have to do that in order to keep going. Put in your address and you're going to click here on Get Started, and it will take us to your civic center. So we'll go down and look at this next. So enter your address, at least your email address if you want to, and then click on Started. So you're on that page where it says your civic center. You're going to scroll down to where it says Research Your Ballot. You're going to say Research This Ballot and click there. What you'll see here, this I think is a little sort of hiccup in their system right now, but they're going to ask you for a party association to see the ballot. I think that this is still set up for when they did the primary election. So go ahead and put something in there. Even if you're not registered with a party, just put one of these parties in there in order to just see the full ballot. Because if you select a nonpartisan one, all you're going to see is the ballot proposal. So just choose a party affiliation so that you can see the full proposal. So you can click on any of these, and it doesn't make any difference to your actual voting. That's just to get into the ballot. So this is going to be my sample ballot. And click on one of the parties just so you can see all the candidates. Once you get on that page, I'll see all the offices that are going to be on my ballot, all the different things I'll be voting for. You can click on any of these. New York County District Attorney, New York City Mayor. We'll scroll down and there are some more. I'm just going to look at New York County District Attorney and look at the first person who's on there. So click on that to see who the candidates are. So we see Alvin Bragg, Diana Florence, Maud Marin. What we're going to do is click on one of those candidates to learn more. If you scroll down, you'll see their experience, their education, You'll see the general bio for them. But if you keep going, you'll also see where they stand on certain issues. So you can do this drop down menu. You can do economy, drug policy, criminal justice, all sorts of different things. And what this website, Ballot Ready, does is pulls statements from their website, their campaign, news about them, about where they stand on these issues. So you can see like what their positions are. And I went through and looked at some of these just to see if they seemed accurate to me based on the knowledge that I had of some of these candidates. And they do go straight to their websites and what the candidate is saying about themselves, which I think is really helpful. And you can see if your priorities are aligned with what that candidate is saying about themselves. So if you click on any of these statements, it'll take you to the source of what that statement is too. So if you have any questions about where are they getting this information from, you just click directly on it and it tells you the source. It's a really reliable way of hearing what the candidates are saying themselves, which I think is really important, even just to see who you're aligned with. And we know that people make campaign promises and stuff, but you can learn so much about who you want to vote for just based on how much your sort of outlook aligns with theirs. And I think this is a really good way of putting that right out there. If you keep scrolling down, you'll see a place where you can look at their endorsements. There's a drop down menu for this too. So they have the endorsements under different sort of categories. Here I have the civil rights category. So it'll say the organizations, the Democratic clubs, the places that have endorsed, support and have endorsed this particular candidate. That can be really helpful too. If there's an organization that you trust, if there is a particular political group that you are aligned with and affiliated with, it's good to know who it is that they're supporting. If you're part of a union, they often do endorsements as well. So worth looking at that if that is something that's important to you. But remember too that this is not just a single list. There are endorsements by multiple categories underneath this. If you want to browse through that, make sure you're looking at the part of the drop-down list you want to, or just looking at each of those categories. And then when you have a candidate that you have decided you want to vote for and you want to add them to your sample ballot to take with you to your voting site, what you're going to do is you're going to scroll back up to where that main bio was and click on add to my ballot. And that will add this candidate to the list of people you plan on voting for that will get sent to you that you can take with you when you vote. I wanted to point out here too, even though I didn't have it on the slide, almost all of these candidates, because many of them have social media, many of them have a website, right next to their picture, you're going to see all the links to their campaign social media and also their website. This can be really helpful too if you want to go straight to those sources, just see the types of things that they're promoting and posting and saying. So just feel free to use these tools as well. You can also add your choices for the ballot proposals to your sample ballot as well. It's a little less extensive in terms of telling you what the arguments are for and against each of these ballot proposals. I would keep an eye out if you are at all affiliated with a political group, any sort of political action group, a union, somebody you trust. Keep an eye out for how they're encouraging you to vote on these ballot proposals. They can be a little tricky to figure out what the language is actually asking you to vote for. So keep an eye out for that and also do your research. You can look up NYC ballot proposal number 1 and see what the arguments are for and against it. But let me show you what's available to you through Ballot Ready on these proposals. You're going to go through your ballot by doing these arrows at the bottom. So we did our choice earlier. We're just going to keep clicking through until we find another thing that we want to fill out. The ballot proposals will be on the end of the sample ballot. And when you go to vote, they should be on the back of your ballot. So make sure you flip your ballot over. Here we are at proposal number 1. You scroll down, it tells you the text of the proposal. It's allow skiing and related trail facilities on state forest preserve land. This is exactly how the text should show up on your ballot. And then you would choose yes or no based on how you plan to vote. There's not a ton of background information here in terms of the arguments for and against. If you vote yes, it's saying yes, they can build these trails in the Adirondack Forest Preserve. If you vote no, it says they can't. So there's just being clear about what a yes vote means and what it doesn't, not so much the argument about why you should or shouldn't vote yes or no. So again, I encourage you to do your research on those on your own and to look out for messages from any sort of political group that you trust about how they're encouraging you to vote on these. Then when you're ready, Click one of those and that will add that to your sample ballot as well. So like how you do with candidates, you can do that with the ballot proposals as well. Once you've finished filling out your ballot, you don't have to fill out everything if you're not ready to do that yet. I encourage you to fill out as much as you can based on the information that you currently have, just so you'll be really equipped when you go to vote. But once you have that filled out to your satisfaction, what you're going to do is click here at the bottom where it says My Ballot. So you'll see on here when I did the sample one, I did 8 out of 14 of the candidates or the races or the proposals on my ballot. Before I actually go to vote, I want to make sure that I know how I'm voting on all 14 of those. But for right now, you can still proceed even if you're not there yet. Do more research. So click on My Ballot right here. And it'll give you the option here to either print your sample ballot, which will have all your choices on it. If you want to take a hard copy of that with you to vote, that's a good option. You can also have it emailed to you. You can go here and just put your email address in here. And again, you can sign up for updates if you want to. You don't have to. If you don't sign up for updates, all it'll do is just send you your ballot, and then that's all you'll get from them. But I was going to show you what one looks like, but I can't do that without actually making choices on there. It is just a list of all the people that you're voting for. It's very straightforward. You can take your phone with you when you go to vote and open that email up and look at who you have chosen to vote for and make sure that you're filling in the ones that you meant to vote for. We'll talk about that in a second too. So again, you can print, you can email. If you don't want to do either of those things, you can screenshot this. Like we talked about screenshotting before, you can scroll down and screenshot your options. These are just more straightforward ways of doing it. So you don't have to take a bunch of pictures on your phone. It's up to you. And just to let you know too, because I had this question the last time, is are you allowed to bring a piece of paper with your sample ballot into the voting booth? Can you have your phone with you and be looking at it? You can. It's one of your rights as a voter. You're allowed to bring any voting materials you want to with you into the voting booth. You shouldn't have anybody challenging you about that. If you do, then it's something where you would alert election officials, because you are absolutely allowed to have these with you. You know, you have all these other rights while voting too. So you can ask poll workers for help if there's something that you need help with. You can ask for interpreters if you need language assistance. If you go to a polling place and the voting machine is broken, you still have a right to vote. They should be able to give you a paper ballot that will be otherwise counted, and they should tell you how it's going to be counted. If your name isn't on the voting rolls, you're allowed to vote by affidavit, so swearing that you are who you say you are, and you still get to vote. And you do not have to show an ID to vote unless you're a first-time voter. I think that's just to line it up with your initial voting record, but you shouldn't be asked for ID otherwise. Just to go over those. We talked about NYC Votes last time. I encourage you to go back to that site as well. They also have a sample ballot feature on their page, but I found that it was not as straightforward and not quite as complete. They didn't have all the offices up on it yet. So that's why I wanted to show you the Ballot Ready one. Feel free to use whichever one you are more comfortable with, but just know that the NYC Votes one might not have all of the races that will actually end up on that sample ballot. I encourage you to use Ballot Ready for that, but check out whichever you'd like. NYC Votes is really good about having updated schedules of what the next election related thing is. And the next big thing is the NYC mayoral debate. There's going to be a second NYC mayoral candidate debate on October 22nd. If you want to get to know those candidates better, that's a good way to check them out. And you'll see on the front page of NYC Votes, that's the most recent coming up key date. And here are other key dates. You have a couple days left to do your change of address. You have under 10 days to register to vote. The last day to request an absentee ballot is also October 25th. A lot of stuff happens on October 25th. That's when early voting starts as well, which will run through November 2nd. And then November 4th is election day. I used it the last election because I just really didn't want to go in there and be caught off guard. Which has definitely happened to me before, especially on things like ballot proposals, which have language around them that you can't always quite make sense of. Everyone go out and vote. Your vote matters. If you have the right to vote, use that right to vote. It's your right. You should use it. And your voice and your vote and your opinion is important.